Right. Hello guys, with the third video.
Yes, we are back, and we've looked at basically this idea of enhancement capitalism, and sort of in a way, if you have doubts about sort of when people talk about the impact of surveillance capitalists on democracy, so the election of Donald Trump, the Brexit referendum in Britain was sort of influenced by social media. It's interesting to think how those scenarios would go if you're talking about tech that has been sold to us by someone like Elon Musk.
Oh.
Yeah,
They could not advertise products. They can also advertise opinions.
they can put them in. Yeah, once they get their tech in there, what stops them? And it sounds a bit alarmist, but why not be a bit alarmist?
Is it an end of free will?
Well, it could be, but that's an interesting way to put it. It's a great way to put it. It sounds sort of scary, but sometimes it's useful to be a bit scared because these technologies, they could be amazing, but the other side is they could be bad.
It's more like a trade with the future. Would you want to trade your freedom with the ability to do your assignments without touching your computer?
Yes, that sounds wonderful, but there are costs. There are always costs. So let's think about that. So in a way, transformative change is basically something that just have to. Good.
It basically changes us, transforms us
It
into
does.
something radically different.
Yes. So transformative change is basically the idea of it sort of like changes the judgments you make. So I want to make a distinction between what we can describe as prudential values. So prudential values are basically judgments about what's good for me. So if you say, Nick, is that prudentially good for you? Well, that's directing me to say, is this a good thing for me? So moral values sort of include the entire world.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm supposed to sort of think about, what's the impact of that on everyone? But I would love to talk or focus on the prudential impact of these changes and how we make those decisions. So I want to sort of in a way consider a case, and that's kind of like a thought experiment because we're imagining animals, so let's tell ourselves stories, where you have a tech in your head, and the tech basically not only changes you, but it changes the judgments that you make about you. So it changes
The judgments that I make about myself.
Yes, yeah.
So how do I see myself?
How
My
do you see
self-narrative.
yourself? Yeah. And whether it's good or bad. So can I bring this home by way of a hideous thought experiment?
Please do.
And remember, these hideous thought experiments, they sound crazy. You might say, you can't do that. Who can do that? Well, no one can do that. Well, right now, no one can do that. But the way people in big tech think about it is that when they consider something, so Elon Musk wants to build a city on Mars. Can anyone do that now? Well, he considers himself free to consider that possibility. But it's sort of like, it may be this seems that we're beating up on Elon Musk here, but they all do this in tech. They're allowed to dream, and they know, well, look, if I can sell that dream to rich people, I'll get the money to do it. So if you have a big enough dream and you sell it to people with money, you can do it.
I say that we are also free to dream, but we are also imagine a nightmare that could possibly come.
Yes. And what happens if something that we now imagine as a nightmare involves us changing so that we actually love that? So here's my thought experiment. And it's a nasty thought experiment, but that's often the way with thought experiments. So I'm going to ask you, Furkan, are you a Nazi?
I am not.
Yes, I'm confident you're not. I know you will. You're definitely not a Nazi. Now, yes, I believe that. What if I then said, well, look, I'm going to make a change to you. I'm going to get some tech in, and I'm going to turn you into someone who has that belief.
So you're going to put something on my brain and I will become a Nazi?
Yeah, because there are, Nazi people, Nazis have beliefs. But I mean, beliefs are just, if you look at the brains of Nazis, I guess they're just wired slightly differently.
Okay.
But I'm going to make those changes to your head. How do you think about that?
I wouldn't want that.
Yes, no, it sounds like a nightmare. That is a nightmare, isn't it? But can I ask you now another question?
Please.
Once, this is hideous, you're supposed to tell me to stop. But, I mean, in a way, that you should be thinking, well, what happens once I've done it? How will you feel about it then?
Well, if you've already done that, I would feel good about it because I'm already a Nazi.
Yes, you're
I
thinking...
would say that, oh yeah, I'm a Nazi. Thank you, Nick.
Yes,
I feel good about it.
Finally, I see the world as it is.
I can see the world as a Nazi, so...
Yes. And
I would think that, oh, my old self was really bad.
Yes, stupid.
I wasn't a Nazi. Oh my God.
So, the term, you might find that some Nazis use terms like, now I'm enlightened. And I guess when someone talks about being enlightened, they're sort of necessarily saying, well, look, before I just believed all these old ideas, now I see the world as it truly is. But in a way, I mean, so let's put to one side, because obviously Nazi beliefs are hideous, and it would be a terrible thing if the world is kind of heading slightly in that direction. But, I mean, I want to sort of think about it. So how would you think about the change? Now you think it's terrible.
Yeah.
But if I say, well, once I get that tick into your head, Furkan, I think you'll be very happy.
Yes.
You'll be grateful.
Because I would not have any other chance.
Yeah.
I would compulsively feel happy.
Yes, so what if I then actually say, well, look, okay, so I've got you tied up here. I'm going to put this chip, the Nazi chip, into your head.
Okay.
And you're right now fighting it. But I know something you don't, because I know Nazis, and I know they're happy about the way they are. So once I get this taken, I predict you'll be happy.
So you're trying to make me happy, actually.
Yeah. Because, I'll put it in, and then you'll say thank you. Finally, I see the world as it is. Finally, I have the correct moral view.
Even though I was resisting it in the beginning.
Yeah. So that's kind of an extreme case. But you might think, I mean, the whole point of an extreme thought experiment is one in which you kind of say, well, that's an extreme case, but what does it teach me about all these other changes? So let's start from that case. I mean, I hope all of you guys would resist the Nazi chip. Even if I told you, once I get it into your heads, you'll say, thank you, Nick. Finally, yes, I see the world as it is truly, thank you. And I look at the world and I think, yeah, it's getting so much better from a Nazi perspective. So let's come back next time and consider some other cases. And I want you guys to basically freely add your thought experiments and things like that.
I got one example in my mind that I want to give in the next video.
Really, I'm looking forward to it. You lead off. So at the moment, cool, that's good. So see you next time. See you next talk.